Alright guys, I'm back with my review of this week's TNA Impact Wrestling for November 29th, 2012. And I want to wish a happy birthday to Justin Poole, although by the time this video gets uploaded it'll probably be the 30th. But happy birthday to Justin Poole, and on to this week's TNA Impact, the Championship Thursday episode. This show was just really below average to me. Had some good matches, but this Hogan bully Austin Aries storyline took over, and it sucks. So I just had a hard time getting through this one, to be honest with you, because it was just all over the place, this Hogan stuff, and I don't know, it's a horrible storyline. And it's terrible, terrible stuff. Just like Cena AJ is terrible, and just like AJ Claire Lynch was terrible. And even though we did get some good matches, I thought this was overshadowing everything, and just there was a lot of, not just the Hogan stuff, there was a lot of just kind of ridiculous things happening on this one. And they really need to be building up this pay-per-view, and I thought they did have some build, but it's just hard to care about a lot of this stuff. So anyways, show starts off with, guess who? Hulk Hogan. Hogan comes out to the ring, and he says he knows something's going on around here, and he calls out Bully Ray for some answers. So Bully Ray comes out, and he talks about Hogan not trusting him, and he asks Hogan if he really wants to know what's going on. Brooke comes out, says she's not 18 anymore, and it's not what he thinks. Hogan says he doesn't want her dating any wrestlers. Could they not talk about this at home? Like, this is so unbelievable to me. Why? It's like, if it doesn't happen on Impact Wrestling, their lives don't change outside of the show. Like, what happened tonight, their lives, nothing else happens in their lives until next week. He can't talk to her outside of the show. It's impossible. So that's just, it's really hard to believe any of this, because it's his daughter. Like, he wouldn't talk to her, they wouldn't have an earlier today segment, something like that. Instead, he waits a week to ask her what's going on. So it's really like they live in the Impact Zone and nothing else happens outside of it, which is just really bizarre. So anyways, Austin Aries comes on the screen, and he's in Hogan's office with Zima, Kenny King, Kid Cash. And he says Hogan shouldn't be airing his dirty laundry on TV and wasting their time. And he says he's going to lay on Hogan's desk until Hogan gets back there. And he's laying on the desk, and he's like, oh man, this is really uncomfortable. How do you do it, Brooke? Which was pretty funny. And he was actually full of great one-liners here tonight. So Hogan storms to the back. He's all pissed off. We get Mickie James versus Gail Kim. This division needs serious help. I mean, there is no direction for the knockouts at all. And what's funny about this to me is some of the people in TNA have the nerve to talk shit about WCW when they do the exact same things. So Mickie wins with a tornado DDT. James Storm cuts a pretty good promo on Bobby Roode talking about his daughter. AJ comes up and says he's got nothing to complain about. I'm the one who has to wait a year for a title shot. And Storm says that we got a tag match tonight. You should be focused on that. Hogan gets to his office. He's pissed off, but he still has to pick RVD's opponent for tonight. So he's mad they were all laughing with Austin Aries, and Kenny King says it was a funny joke. And Kenny King is eliminated first for no reason. And this was hilarious, because Kenny King has done nothing. Douglas Williams has had more matches than Kenny King, I believe. I'm not positive, but I think he's had more. And Kenny King hasn't done anything since they were building up the X Division pay-per-view. I think he had one match after that. And it's just, why sign these guys when you're not going to do anything with them, and you know you're not going to do anything with them? And I know Kenny King wrote on Twitter that his bank account's good, but he can't, on some level, he has to regret this decision to leave Ring of Honor, burn that bridge, burn other bridges to go to TNA and do nothing. He has to regret that. So this was silly. They eliminate Kenny King, and And Austin Aries tells Hogan that he's his guy, Aries knows best. Bobby Roode comes out and says he's a real world champion, and Hardy almost lost to a gut check rookie. He says if you want to make a name for yourself, you call him out, not Hardy. So Christian York comes out. Roode tells him to get out of his ring. York slaps him, and he calls out Roode, and Bobby Roode freaks out about this. We get Bobby Roode versus Christian York. This was a good match, I thought, and even though Christian York taps to the crossface, he still looked pretty strong here. So afterwards, Bobby Roode gets a chair. Jeff Hardy runs out, tries to hit the Twist of Fate, but Roode escapes. An Aces and Eights video. There's dirty magazines laying around. There's alcohol all over the place that the camera's slowly panning up to. And I also saw a chain, like Bully Ray's chain back there. And the Vice President says next week Doc goes one-on-one with Kurt Angle. And Devon says that he wants his TV title back. He never lost it. Hogan stole it from him. And if Hogan gives him the title shot, they won't hurt anyone tonight. But if he doesn't, all hell breaks loose. So I guess Hogan gave him the shot. Judges are talking about Wes Briscoe's gut check. Kurt Angle comes up to put over Wes one last time to Pritchard. D'Lo Brown comes up and says that he can't get Al Snow on the phone. Riveting stuff. Kazarian and Daniels come out, and Kazarian calls the fans butt nuggets. He tells AJ that Daniels will beat him in 10 days. Storm and AJ versus Kazarian and Daniels, more side dancing. Storm hits Daniels with a super kick for the win. This was a good match. AJ Styles is still pissed off afterwards. He's upset, and I do think he's going to turn heel at the next pay-per-view. So Hogan chooses Austin Aries to face RVD. Makes sense, right? He hates Austin Aries, so he's going to reward him with the title shot. And since RVD is the only one, the reason Hogan gives is because RVD is the only one who hates Aries more than him. Now this confuses Austin Aries, and I think it confused everyone. And Austin Aries says, what? Why does RVD hate me? Exactly, he doesn't hate him. So this was something Hogan totally pulled out of his ass. And RVD, or excuse me, Kid Cash was actually pretty bad in this segment too. He said something along the lines of, I'm this much tired of this. And he came off really lousy back here. Samoa Joe says, Devon wasn't beaten for the TV title, he abandoned it. And if he wants a title shot, he can come get it next week. Douglas Williams versus Matt Morgan. Joey Ryan tells Christie to make him a sandwich, gets no reaction, no heat, no one cared. Matt Morgan comes out still wearing Hogan's robe. This looks stupid as hell. And Morgan squashes Williams and wins with a carbon footprint. D'Lo still can't find Al Snow, and he's going to fill in for him, so we get Wes Briscoe's gut check. And the first thing I noticed about this was D'Lo Brown looks huge, much bigger than anyone else in the ring. Just gigantic. And Pritchard says yes, Taz says no, Wes cuts a terrible promo, and D'Lo says yes. Kurt Angle and Garrett Bischoff come out to celebrate with him. Bully Ray wants to know why Hogan didn't ask him to take on Aries. He says maybe Hogan's confusing business with personal. And Hogan says maybe you're confusing business with personal. And then storms off. ODB says she finally got Eric Young back and the Aces put him in the hospital. This was very sad. Aries tells Hogan taking on RVD was his plan all along so that he can win the X Division title and get his world title back. Some weird promo with Bobby Roode cuts in. You can't hear what Hogan and Aries are saying anymore. It was a production issue. It was really weird. But eventually it cuts back and Hogan says that he just wants RVD to kick Aries' teeth out. So RVD versus Aries for the X Division title, main event. There was a cool spot with Aries hitting a neck breaker over the guardrail on RVD. He does his own version of Rolling Thunder with a splash. He goes for the 5-star frog splash and misses. And he pushes RVD off the top rope. He grabs a microphone and he says RVD is laying on his back. He's sweaty. He's breathing heavy. His hair's a mess. He kind of looks like Brooke Hogan. That was great. That was the best thing, I think, that happened all night, probably. But yeah, that was probably the best thing. So Bully Ray comes out. He's angry. The ref rings the bell. Austin Aries escapes, but Hogan starts to come down the ramp. But Hogan doesn't care about Austin Aries. He's staring at Bully Ray. And that's how the show ended. So it was a great show if you love this love triangle, or I guess it's not a love triangle, I don't know what the hell it is. This Hogan, Bully Ray, Brooke Hogan, Austin Aries storyline, which is going to lead to Austin Aries versus Bully Ray, and that's about it. And in the meantime, we have to deal with shows full of promos, segments having to do with this one match. And it's not interesting, it's silly, and it's probably going to come out that they're not together, that it's all a misunderstanding, just like Claire Lynch, just like Cena AJ, just like it always is. It's a big misunderstanding, and Brooke Hogan's not sleeping with Bully Ray, and it was all a huge waste of our time. Just like the Aces and Eights have been. They didn't even do anything on the show. It's so silly. But yeah, hopefully the go-home show for the pay-per-view was much better. I just didn't really care for this one. A couple good matches doesn't make a great show. And this one wasn't even an average show. So anyways, that's my review of this week's TNA Impact. Hope you guys liked the video. Leave your thoughts on this week's show in the comments, and thanks for watching.